And then you have the old school glass fuses there. That you
Yes.
have right there.
So
Very old school.
fill us in on these and how not safe they are.
Nightmares they are. Yeah, I've worked on these quite a bit. It's kind of hard to find these fuses at times. Not all the places stock them up. Home Depot and stuff, Lowe's. The shortage is getting smaller and smaller on these, but it's dangerous on these because if someone doesn't know what they're doing and they don't connect the polarities right, and you have
Right. Can you turn it the other way?
reverse polarity, like you were saying.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what's happened to me is when I'm taking these fuses off and I'm grabbing this and I touch the metal as I'm spinning it, well, guess what? I'm getting shocked.
You're grounding yourself.
I'm getting shocked because it's reverse polarity. So this is not supposed to be hot. When I'm touching it, it's supposed to be the hot point back there. So that's supposed to be the hot. This is supposed to be the neutral.
Right.
People do reverse. This is the hot, which when I'm spinning and I'm touching, I get shocked. Instead of right when you unspin it, it makes loose contact, power's done. You're safe. But I've seen that before many times when I'm spinning. I'm like, oh, damn it. And I'm like, dangerous.
Yeah.
They're dangerous. Yeah. I don't really like these too much.
Yeah, that's what I was actually, my last podcast I mentioned to you, I was using one of these and I went up to go near it and touch the box to see if it was energized. And the thing started glowing like a foot away. I'm like, oh, I'm not going near that.
The whole thing just lights up. That's why
I have a video on that. I'm going to send it to you.
Oh, okay.
I had an assistant with me that day, and I go, hey, videotape this. This is pretty cool.
I have the video with my friend of the GFCI breaker with the blow dryer.
Oh.
I'm going to look for it.
Yeah, send that to me.
I'll send it to you so you can see. We threw it in the water, and it's like... And all he did was grab his screwdriver and touch the ground while he was holding the cord, and it tripped. Klein screwdriver. Just like that. Klein screwdriver, he touched the ground while it was still running and active, and it tripped.
Wow.
It just needs the ID of a ground, sometimes.
Yeah,
Same thing like a transformer.
Yeah.
Transformers, when you're doing the phases, sometimes it just needs the ID of a ground to get that other leg out. That's all.
So let's tell homeowners what it costs now to upgrade something like this with different scenarios. So just go through what you would typically find and typical price, just so they have an understanding.
Yeah, typical price. Well, back then prices were a lot cheaper. Obviously, with COVID and material, and now they're requiring surge protectors too. If people want to do them with permits, surge protectors are very expensive, like $75. So all these parts and components are adding up. But
now, do you recommend using a permit to do electrical?
It depends on the customer. We always still do things to code regardless. We're not going to knick-knack a corner and not put one ground rod because we're trying to save some money. It's not getting done by coding. The only thing we probably won't put on a panel if we're not doing it by code is a surge protector because they're not really effective here in California. Those are more like in the areas where they snow and they have storms like that a lot of, which is, I don't know, like where
East Coast.
Yeah, East Coast and those places. That's where they have them at. That's where they're known to have that stuff. But they're pushing it on us too now. So it is what it is.
I see. Search. Yeah, I have one on mine.
You do because we did it by code. It does work a little bit, but we don't have no storms or anything like that crazy here.
Right. So what do you think it would cost to just replace this in the same spot of
same location? Yeah. If it's out surface mounted, prices nowadays are between $45 and $5 for a panel. If it's recessed in the wall, it does cost a little more labor and time for us to break all that stuff.
Even if you go up in size, same price, or
as far as like 100 amp.
Well, if you take a 100 amp off, what if they wanted to go to 200 in the same spot?
Same spot, yeah. So the price is like I was saying between like 45 to 5,000.
Okay.
Usually I always recommend people to go to 200.
There's no big or go home.
It's the price difference is a couple $100.
It just makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's practical. Yeah. It makes sense. So okay. So
those are some of the things people need to be aware of. When it's in the wall, you don't have to pull it out the wall and create damage and stucco and create an extra cost. You can surface mount it on the side and save the cost of the stucco and the panel. Now, there is some cities that don't allow that, although it is code, which is dumb and it's legal. But I always check with cities to see if they allow that or they don't. Only one time I got hit hard once on that, and it was in where was that at? What city was that? Azusa. I remember we did it in a panel in Azusa, and we did it, and the guy was just, the inspectors, they all have their final say, and if they're hot-headed from one job for another, they're going to take it out on you.
Yeah.
And that's what he did. He took it out on Juan. He was like, oh, you got to demo out that whole panel and put a junction box. We're like, why? It's legal. I don't like it. You just got to put a junction box. You should know that it's code. And I go, well, it's legal. It's code. We can do it this way. And he just didn't answer. And then he looked at our riser. Oh, the riser's too high. It's 36 inches. It's code, like everywhere. DWP, Edison, Anaheim, Pasadena Power District, that's like almost standard. Nah, drop it down 4 inches. I want it at 32 inches or something. We're like, what?
They can do that?
Yeah, well, he did.
He can get away with that?
He did. What can we do? We're just like, okay, we'll do that. He left. We looked at the other properties and the other houses. They're all 36. And I looked at the homeowner. I'm like, he's like, I don't know. I go, well, you know what? We'll do it. It is what it is. It's not right.
Being a dick.
Yeah.
Don't be a dick.
Don't be a Richard.
Yeah. Don't be a Richard. That's a relative of Karen.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's what you meant.
And but, when you're dealing with home inspectors, I never argue with them. I never say anything. I mean
building inspectors.
Yes, safety. Oh yeah, building inspectors or electrical. Yeah. I never argue with them when they come. I just show them the paperwork, and I don't see anything. I let them do the talking and
let them hang themselves.
Yeah, I'll let them tell me, oh, let me open up the panel. Let me see this. I'll see that. Did you do anything else? No. Bare minimum, I don't give them much information.
Smart.
Yeah, I don't want to open up any kind of worms with them.
Yeah, you won't go looking at something else and then, hey, that's not on here. And then that's the thing. But, just once again, to reiterate to homeowners and home buyers, not having a permit doesn't mean it's wrong.
Yeah.
That depends on who you hire. So if you're just going for the cheapest guy, which is not a good idea when it comes to something this serious about your house, this important, just remember there's no big brother overseeing what they're doing. So if you don't know what they're doing, they're going to do what they want to do.
Yeah, and that's what I do tell customers.
They may not dot their I's and cross their T's with what they're supposed to be putting in.
The only time I really encourage customers to do panel upgrades with a permit is when I know they have the old school 3 wires coming in from the city.
Yeah.
It's like you gotta just do that with the permit. We can do it without a permit, but one, the wires are old. Yeah. When we start touching on the plastic and all that, they start falling apart.
You know that Burbank upgraded my wire to a bigger size.
Yeah. See.
So the linemen came in. Those guys were awesome. They came in, knocked that thing out.
It's 3 dudes. Better. When I see a newer style cable coming in, then I'll tell them, you don't have to do it with the permit. It's up to you, The
DWP believes in go big or go home. So whenever they change something, they always go bigger. So that's smart, thinking ahead.
Yeah.
So I got all new wire from the pole all the way to the house. I'm super happy with everything. So I got all brand new wire. So that's awesome. Not all my not all my branch circuits are new, but we'll get to that.
Okay.
Yeah, I have a lot of the old stuff we took out. There's still some left. I know there's other areas, but what you guys had to deal with.
Majority of it's out though.
Yeah,
which is good.
Yeah, majority of it is out. So Challenger brand. Let's talk about Challengers, because Challengers is kind of a gray area, and I think I can say that
is Challenger now.
Huh?
Eden is Challenger. So
yeah. So on a residential, let's talk about residential first. I know you have experience with that on commercial too. Mm-hmm. So as far as residential goes, years ago I was at a CREA meeting, which is the California Real Estate Inspection Association, which is where I'm certified. And, people are talking about Challengers and they have breaker issues. So my understanding is the recommendation is to upgrade the breakers. The box should be okay. Or am I hearing that wrong? What's your opinion on that?
My opinion on that is it all depends on the panel model it is,
Okay.
So
certain models.
If it is one of those certain models and you can just upgrade the breakers, then you're able to do it. Like there's a company called, a lot of people probably even heard of it. It's called Black Label Brothers. They're a panel company that was based in Los Angeles. All they made was just panel boards for the outside service, not panel boards in the inside.
Just outside. But they didn't make any breakers. And all they made were just panel boards.
Mm-hmm. So that's a company that's been out, and insurances aren't black labeling those companies because they never had any fire issues. But back then, that company was designing panels so that people can interact and change out whatever breaker they wanted to use on the main service and put whatever they want inside. Meaning, if they wanted to put that black label service panel and then get a Federal Pacific breaker and put a Federal Pacific sub panel inside apartments, or do push pneumatic,
right,
and then do push pneumatic. So that's what they would do. But
yeah, I'm not seeing anything.
Oh, I'm sorry, it's Blakeman Brothers. I'm sorry. Way off. Way off.
Blakeman.
I didn't have my coffee today, man. I didn't go to the
one
gym.
Word, Blakeman?
Yeah, Blake and then man. One word.
Oh, one word.
Yeah. Blakeman and then Brothers.
Blakeman. It's probably called Blakeman. Panels?
Yep. Now you'll find it. There you go. See them? That's the labels. Those labels right there.
I see. The infamous wings.
Yeah.
Blakeman Brothers Electric.
So this company, all they did were meter sections. That's it. So this company made meter sections, and then after that, people input whatever internals they wanted inside of them to make them work with, like Federal Pacific breaker style.
So you order which one you want. Is that what you're saying?
No. So these guys would just make the service panels.
One would accommodate this breaker, and one would accommodate a different one, or is that what you're saying?
Yeah. So they made their panel boards so that anybody can use whatever style breaker to use.
It's like a universal box.
Kind of universal. And that's when we get into series rating. That's what I mean by series rating now. But back then, series rating wasn't around.
What is series rating? Tell us about that.
Series rating is pretty much the body of the breaker matching with the internals of the sub panel of the inside. So they both are that's series rating.
Okay.
So these guys design their panels so that anybody can put, like if we buy a Siemens panel, you only want to use Siemens breaker. You're not going to put square D breaker in there. It's not going to sit right. It's not going to fit right.
That was my next question I was going to bring up.
So these guys,
interchangeable breakers.
Yeah, these guys designed these panels so that people can use either Federal Pacific, Square D, Murray back then, which is Siemens now. Yeah, but some cities allow you to still upgrade just the sub panels and leave these the main service outside and just change the breaker so it can match with the series rating.
So was there a problem doing this, or is this just
this company has no problems? No fires, no problems.
Okay, so if I see this, it's okay.
It's okay with a panel. There's no issues. They don't have fires. It's just discontinued. 1969, 1970 is when they stopped.
Interesting.
Yeah, they were out for a while, and they were based here and out of Los Angeles. You're going to see a lot of those now that I'm telling you. You'll see more in apartment buildings if you get home inspection. Do you do commercial apartments?
Yeah.
Okay.
On occasion. Yeah, I don't do a ton of them, but
okay.
I do get them here and there. I have not come across these yet. No, I don't recall seeing anything like that.
They look like a regular Siemens panel.
Yeah, it's the labeling I always look at.
Very universal.
So there is, So let's talk a little bit more about interchangeable breakers.
Okay.
Because that's something I do look for when I'm looking inside panels. And I don't have a catalog of which one is which one's right, which one's wrong. And I'm not going to go that deep into it with my customers.
Correct.
If I see a Siemens panel and I see an aftermarket breaker, I'm going to look. You get a different manufacturer breakers in here. They may not be compatible.
Yeah.
I don't know if they are or not. Have an electrician let you know if they are. And if they aren't, they can replace it.
And you can usually see it too yourself when you're spotting it, because the outer part of the body frame never sits right. The breaker's sunk in like half an inch. Yeah. Or it's pushing out.
There are some visual indicators by, that looks off.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll see like a row of breakers loose.
Nightmares.
Yeah. And I'm like, why ain't that seated? I'll give a little push.
That's how they sit. They barely grab.
That's
where they start fires.
It's
a little
junk.
Arcing.
Yeah, just junk. So I call that out because that's too loose for me. I wouldn't want to not point that out to a customer. So
the one thing I do get on home inspections a lot of, because we get a lot of emails from companies and realtors that want us to give them a quote, and there's home inspection report, and we're like, oh yeah, send it over. One thing that I do notice that home inspectors do is they say the panel needs to be updated and it doesn't have arc fault breakers. I'm like, it's it doesn't need to have arc fault breakers, and it's the whole house is going to be rewired. And so there's some misled information on sometimes on that with home inspectors.
That's just a home inspector who doesn't know yet.
Yeah,
it doesn't understand. So look, let's clear. I'm glad you brought that up. That's a good point. So, you know, when I think it was 2014 when arc fault went into code.
14, 16 or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So the safe way to look at that, home inspectors, if you're listening, how old is this house you're looking at? Number one, how old is that panel? And is there any record, or does that panel look like it was just upgraded? Now, if that panel was just upgraded, yes, it should have arc faults.
No. See, that's the part where people get confused. Now, when you relocate the panel like we did with you, any service panel within 6 feet, then yes, we have to use arc fault breakers. But if we're just going to upgrade a service like for like, same location, it doesn't need arc fault breakers.
No shit.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's the code. That's where the people.
I have not had that explained to me before.
They say that a lot, and it's like, no, it's not that, and they scare customers away.
Replacement for replacement.
You don't need arc fault breakers.
You don't need arc fault.
No.
You're just replacing the panel
like
for like.
It still needs a surge protector.
Wow. Okay. See, that doesn't make sense to me, but yeah. I get it. It doesn't make sense to me.
It's only when you relocate a panel more than 6 feet, it's required to do arc fault breakers.
Relocating more than 6 feet.
Or a new rewire of a new home, new construction, then yes, it needs arc fault breakers. Yes.
Wow.
So newer style homes.
Like for like. So this is good information. Thank you. But it creates more questions.
That's fine.
So I'm on the job. I see, well, it looks like they just replaced the box. I don't see AFCIs. So by the way, when I report AFCIs, whether they're missing or they're not connected or whatever, I simply say, look, non-standard electrical practices, have an electrician take a look to see if this box requires this.
Right.
Was this upgrade? It's all in the wording.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you have to have AFCI breakers. I'm saying it's typically a normal part of an upgrade to have AFCI installed after 2014. So that's how I report it.
Right.
And I think sometimes other inspectors who just may not know yet, they could be new. There could be a new inspector who just hasn't really had to deal with this a lot, so they don't have a lot of experience writing it up, and they may not have stumbled on this before. So it happens. You know, I was new once. I went through a lot of shit like that too.
Hey, so did I.
Right.
I learned a lot of things too.
Yeah, so we're here to learn.
Yeah.
You know, we're just here to talk. I'm not here to, generalize everybody as not knowing this, but I'm sure a lot of guys have or are about to have come across this and have to find a way to write it up. So I write it up as, look, it looks a little non-standard to me or substandard install. My recommendation is to have an electrician determine if it needs to be there or not. But we don't know if that panel was just installed. We don't know what was there before.
Right.
So I can't answer those questions for the customer.
Yeah.
So I'm better off saying it the way I say it and reporting it the way I report it, because I don't know what they just took off of there.
Yeah. I mean,
the seller doesn't know.
I ran into some crazy
numbers
once where we had a Federal Pacific panel, and it was surface mounted. Gave them a regular quote. I looked at it and I opened it up. Seemed fine. Okay. Mm-hmm. Come to find out, these guys, these jokers, whoever they were, had a fuse system like this before, and all they did was surface mount that over the fuse system and push the wires through. So when we tore off that panel off the wall,
you found that.
We found this big old opening, stuff like this inside, and we're like, whoa, we can't just surface mount this back again. Now we have to open up this wall and do this right. But those are all surprises you don't see.
Right. Yeah. Well, any time you got to open up something on a wall, it's a can of worms.
And that's where we're sometimes, because that customer was cool and understanding, and
some people are going to be rational. Yeah. Some people just, you said this. Yeah. Karen and Richard.
Karen and Richard. Always.
I just think Karen should cover all of them. I don't think Richard's good enough. I think it should just be Karen across the board, myself. But anyway. Karen! So yeah, that's an interesting news about the AFCIs. Now I've been on jobs where this was a big house too. I remember this one job was a really big house, 200 amp service in there, big tall one like I got. And I pulled the cover off and all the pigtails are cut all the way down. And I said to my customer, hey, you might want to come take a look at this. So it's easier just to look at than me trying to explain it later. So yeah, all those pigtails have been cut. But I'm going to tell you why they're probably cut. Because they're probably becoming a nuisance.
Yeah.
And I tell them that. These are known to be nuisance problems. And they probably were required to install them by code. And then as soon as the guy left, they had to reset everything a couple times a week or something like that, or maybe once a day. And so they said, hey, come back here and just cut all these damn white wires for me because that's what's causing all these problems.
Yeah.
So when you installed my sub panel and my main panel, I knew that you had to put AFCIs in because we relocated panels. Yeah. So that goes with what you just said about me not knowing that if the panel is moved more than 6 feet, then you have to add AFCIs.
Yeah.
So
Pasadena is not too tough on that,
right?
On that code, but all other cities are.
Right. So after you guys were done, within a couple days, my refrigerator tripped.
Yeah, I can imagine.
So the wife's like, John, I want to look at this.
Did you guys catch it on time?
Yeah. Yeah. I think it just happened. Probably overnight it happened or whatever. So the next morning we noticed. And so I look, sure enough, it's tripped. I just reset it. But my panel is right next to the fridge, so it's all cool. I just walked right up.
Now it's in the hallway.
And then it happened. But then it happened again with one of the bathrooms. And then the living room it happened with the Wi-Fi. And I'm like, okay. And then I remembered our conversation. John, we're going to get these things in. You're not going to like them. But it's going to pass code, and then we're going to come back and we're going to put the regular ones back in. And you did, and you kept your word. You came back and you replaced those with regular breakers, and now everything's now I'm happy.
I always warn customers when we're doing that.
Yeah,
we were going to relocate. I make sure I bring up those nightmares, detailed front and back, has many different ways and times, so they can't say that I don't remember you telling me that, because that's what they always say.
You got to make sure you put it in writing.
Yeah.
Or never mind the verbal. You want to make it stick. You put it in writing.
Yeah, but even then,
put it in your contract. Just put it in.
They probably won't understand it until you have to physically kind of tell them.
Yeah.
Show
Just tell them to call me, and I'll clear it up for them real quick. I'll make a video for it. Don't bother this guy about your AFCIs.
Just watch this video.
Just watch this video, and it'll make sense because it happened to me, and now we took them out, and I haven't had anything trip since.
No problems.
None. Zero. So that's really good information about the arc fault. That's good. I'm gonna dig into that a little more later. Try to figure more out on that. And anything else you want to mention about these unsafe panels?
On these, not really.
I say get rid of all of them.
Yeah, it's bad. They're just, bad construction on how they manufactured them. It happens, Mm-hmm. It happens. Like vehicles, they make vehicles and they're not.
Yeah, it's called recalls. Yeah. There's been recalls on some things. I think these had a recall on them.
They did.
Stab locks for Pacific.
They did, but they just banded them after that. Or like, no, they're not cutting it. Band them.
Yeah. I wonder how much they had to pay out.
A lot.
Probably put them out of business. I mean, I don't wish that on anybody going out of business, but if you're making a faulty product and you're not fixing it.
That's not good.
No.
Showing up to it.
Burning down houses.
Or businesses.
So anyways, if you need electrical upgrades, you do them? Electrical panels?
Oh, yeah. Commercial.
And?
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, Challenger, we talked about the residential side. Let's real quick talk about the commercial side of Challenger.
Okay.
So as the commercial side of Challenger panels, they tend to be problematic or not? Or is that just a residential issue?
It's more the residential issue.
Okay.
More of the commercial style panels are bolt-on breakers. So you get a real good connection. You're a little bit more heavy-dutier.
Okay. Good to know.
But there's still problems there, too, if people don't make the connections right. You know what I mean?
Sure.
It's always some nightmares of things still,
Yeah. Who's installing it? So once again, it goes down to that.
Yeah, it does.
And I'm sure you have to pull permits to do anything commercial.
Yeah, for the most part. Sometimes we don't. Like I tell homeowners when I come do residential, it's totally up to them. If they want to do it or not. It's I say about 90% of the people don't because they don't want to deal with the headaches, the nightmares, the time frame.
What if an inspector rolls up on you and you're working on a job and there's no permit? What happens to you?
Well, then we just pull a permit.
They don't fine you or anything, or
It's happened to us before in Redondo.
this is going on your permanent record?
This happens before in Redondo. Like this girl wanted to do, and she wanted to save the money. She's just a real cool girl with her husband. That's real easy going, but she didn't get along with her neighbor. And the neighbor,
it's always the neighbor.
The neighbor called the inspector over, made him come over to the house, showed him in the backyard that we were doing the upgrade. Doing the upgrade, he walked out the house, knocked on her door, and saw our big old logo van trucks in front of her house. You know,
what's up? What's going on, guys?
Yeah,
they changing the batteries in your remote control?
I know. Right? Are you changing the panel in the back? And she was just like, yeah, we are upgrading it. Well, I don't see a permit opened up in my side of the city, you know, on my side. So you need to do a permit if you're going to be doing that panel, blah, blah, blah. And that's it.
Guess what? Now she has a headache.
Yeah.
Well, she was trying to avoid the headache. Now she has one.
But it was simple, though, because right when she told me that, I got on the phone with Edgar. Edgar got on the internet, put the permit. Next day we had it. The following day we called inspection. We're done.
Oh, sweet. So it wasn't that bad after all. It just cost a little more money.
That's what I told her. You can try to do it. Worst case scenario, they're just gonna make us pull the permit. It's not gonna be a big deal. It's not gonna hold the project down. The thing is, she had a big issue because she had a short and half her house wasn't working.
Right.
So she needed to get it done ASAP.
Got it. Okay.
So,
all right, cool. So yeah, permits. Like I said, there's no Big Brother without it. So you got to hope you're hiring a reputable company. Yeah. And once again, always check your contractors. Make sure they're licensed. Yeah. Make sure the license they're using is their name.
And just because you do like a service upgrade without a permit doesn't mean the insurance won't cover you. Right. Insurance is mainly focused on and pay attention on, okay, you have a fire, electrical. Oh, it looks like the panel's been upgraded. Okay, yeah.
All right. So
did you pull a permit?
Right.
No. Did a licensed contractor do the work? Yeah, we did get a licensed contractor. You have proof? Here's your proof, the invoice. Okay, they'll still cover you because the licensed contractor did the work. Just because we didn't pull the permit doesn't mean they use those two hand permit and licensed contractor.
See. Okay, good to know. Yeah. So I want to segue this episode into another episode, which is going to be wiring.
Oh, there you go.
So before we do that, I want to make something very clear to everybody listening. Just because you have a new panel installed does not mean you have new wiring.
Yeah.
Coming soon on the next episode, we're going to cover all the wiring and what you need to know. So once again, what's your website address?
It's www.electricbro.com.
www.
Yeah. And you can find us on Yelp too. Obviously, that's where their main hits at. Everybody finds us.
Yeah, Yelp, Google,
and it's
Electric Brothers Company.
Puts everybody straight to Yelp all the time.
And don't forget to leave him if you hire him. Don't forget to leave a review on Google. Google's the big boy on the block. All right, Isaac, thank you.
Yeah, no thanks.
And I'll see you on the next podcast.
Okay.